Hello, I wanted to discuss Narcissism, Denial of the True Self by Andrew Lowen, MD. Andrew Lowen was born in 1910. He died in 2008. This was published when he was 75 in 1985. I'm not sure how old he was when he wrote it, but it was published in 1985. He was 75. He has it's a very interesting book. Not one, maybe I've read others like it before, but I don't know. I found it interesting that it was kind of it was a mix of like social critique, autobiographical, and also like case studies and treatments, proposed treatments using his bioenergetic therapy. Because he will intersplice what he's talking about with like some biographical information. He'll talk about like his time when he decided to go to medical school and the relationship with his mother. He spends quite a bit more time on it in the very end, the last chapter, where he says he's going to talk about the society as a whole. He says that, like individuals can be narcissistic, cultures can be narcissistic, and I mean, he is obviously right. At least, I mean, I agree with him. The city is like the man. And so him diagnosing 20th century America with narcissism is not unfounded, not uncommon either, not unique. But I mean, he's in that same vein of something's clearly wrong. It reminded me a lot of like Alan Bloom's Closing of the American Mind, if any of you are familiar with that. Similar, less explicitly philosophical, and like citing Alan Bloom will cite people like Heidegger and Nietzsche a lot. He will say things that could very easily just cut and splice Nietzsche in there, but I'm not sure how familiar he is with that, but it definitely applies to this as well. He says at the very, very end, actually, let me just find that chapter. To sell out the kingdom of heaven for power is a devil's bargain. I'm like, there it is, the will to power. And that was a very interesting thing too, and I'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to say his social critique. Since he was born in 1910, it is interesting seeing him look at it a little bit differently than someone like Bloom is, who's a bit younger. And he was born in 1910, so he wasn't used to automobiles when he was a kid. That was something new, and the buzzing and booming was new to him. His critique, I may also say observation, that New York City is too overstimulated and rock music is overstimulating. I can see that definitely being true too. A lot of it doesn't come as quickly to fruition as I thought. Maybe I'm wrong. I really like Closing of the American Mind. I think I've listened to it twice, but he is much more Alexander is more decisive in his, like, this is what's going to happen, and it's often kind of wrong. It's kind of interesting to see. He's more narrow focused, and so it doesn't hold up as well as I think something as Bloom does, because Bloom really, this is kind of like, I love the Closing of the American Mind, but I really like the Closing of the American Mind. I'm really impressed by that book, and I think it's really, really impressive. I like it a lot. The biographical stuff was interesting. It was very nice to see. Maybe, again, it made me think of Nietzsche, where he says, like, all philosophy is like half like autobiography, or half, and so it's kind of that, like, why is he looking into this? Because, like, he sees kind of, I don't want to say he doesn't say the narcissistic traits, but he sees, like, even the hairline fractures, right? There's something wrong with his mind and body and emotion that he can't work out. He knows something's wrong, but he doesn't know what. So that was very nice to see. It was kind of disarming. There are some times where it's like it's of a different time. Like, one of the therapies involved him, like, wrestling around with his patient, because this bioengineering, I guess just to get into the bioengineering, because that's the biggest portion of the book. The bioengineering kind of, like, it really focuses on, I mean, it's Freudian as well, so it really focuses on the body. It's much later than Freud, so he's not as dogmatic. But it is a lot of that, like, very much of the, it kind of times a lot of, like, things like the body keeps the score, right? Like, narcissism, he said, is like, what it is, it's like it's a lack of emotion, a lack of an ability to feel emotion. A lot of times just numbness, or anger, or rage, and that's definitely true. At least in my own experience, when I would reflect as I've been reading this, I'm like, man, this is hard, and this is hard to read, and it really cuts deep, which is good. But he would focus on, like, like you might feel like the constrictingness of your neck, or even like your pelvis. Like, it's very much of the body, very much like the body keeps a score. I should look it up. I should have looked if there was a connection between the two, but it was very much. If you're familiar with the body keeps a score as well, that'll you'll see similar things, connections with this. Yeah, I also talked about how, like, they suppress their ability to cry, and and so that's kind of like the constricting of the neck. What he also said, which I found very, very interesting, at least for me, it is this striving after this idea, rather than the self. And again, I'll say, like, as the individual to the collective, America's the greatest country in the world. We are aspiring to that. We are that. If we are not appearing to be the greatest country in the world, something's wrong. We got to fix it, because this idea is clearly true. That doesn't strike up with reality. I don't know enough about, like, international politics to really comment any further than that, but the grandiosity is something you would see in narcissism. They're concerned with their ideal more so than their feelings. I would summarize it that a good way to a good line that you could see a narcissist using. I am no way saying a narcissist will say this, or someone says this is a narcissist, but someone who says no pain, no gain. That phrase can easily be co-opted by narcissists or integrated. Like, they'll think it's a great idea. It also made me think of, like, some of the philosophies that I've read. A lot of them. It really made me think of. I've heard Jung say. I haven't read, like, any Jung, but right. A lot of these are just them. A lot of philosophies are they're just trying to rationalize their pathologies. And so Stoicism is very popular in contemporary America. And what it says is the fact that you are cold and unfeeling is actually okay, and actually puts you ahead of the herd, because you can be more rational, and you are rational like a machine, but you are suppressing your emotion. The goal is to, I don't want to say get rid of emotion, but to not act on emotion. This is attractive to people who who can't feel that way, or struggle to feel that way. I've always kind of liked Kierkegaard and Nietzsche, as maybe self-evident. But their ideals of the Knight of Faith and the Übermensch, of this individual being higher than the masses and living up to, I'll say, like, their own idea of what how things should be. This just comes off as narcissism, and what they're trying to do is rationalize their narcissism, and it really just demolished their what they are trying to pitch, or it psychologizes it very well. Not demolishes, but really psychologizes it. So I found that really, really insightful and helpful. And it just shows how ideas just get just prove wrong over time. But I enjoyed this book. It is, like I said, it is Freudian, so it will try to propose that. I want to say, universally, there is a sexual feeling with the opposite parent of the, and then a confrontational relationship with the same-sex parent. In my experience, I don't see that to be true. If that is, I respect that a lot more, because of what I think Freud is right in the sense that, I mean, he goes a bit too far, but we are driven by sexual and aggressive impulses, and to deny that you are is foolish, and is going to come out some way or another. But yeah, I like that. I don't want to say it's like a relic, because it's only 1985, but I could see this book being outmoded at this point. I think it is still insightful. It's an entertaining read. It's an easy read. It's only 228 pages with some notes. He has more books if you want to look up Alexander Lowen, MD. So yeah, I thought it was really helpful with my own narcissistic tendencies and confronting that. The social criticisms were okay. I wasn't all that impressed with them. I'll admit I was eagerly awaiting them. I don't want to critique him for not writing the book I wanted him to, because it's his book. And so if that wasn't really his intention, then he did anything wrong. But I was kind of hoping for, I was like, oh man, I thought it would be more like As the City is Like the Man. He can really dig into American culture. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. I'm gonna give it to a couple people, but after I get it back, I'm gonna read it again. But yeah, that was those are my thoughts. Thank you very much.